What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lantern, bringing you guys our Week 4 recap for the NCL Season 2. This is a little bit late, and I'll sort of discuss that when we get deeper into the recap itself, and I'll sort of touch on a point that is going to be key coming through the next weeks. But just to start us off, um, this is week 4. This is the third point of the regular season, so we're now 33% done the regular season. That means that playoffs are ever looming, and records can be very helpful to determine playoff standings. And we'll actually see that there's going to be a tie that's broken by a tiebreaker this week. So that's kind of cool. Is heading right into things. We have the kills and the moo kills. So the leaderboard as week 4, we have Scald leading the way once again, just like it was in week 3 with 11 kills. I believe he picked up a few this week. But trailing closely behind is actually a tie for second place between Earthquake and Ice Beam with 10 kills. And obviously, the way that I have the slides format doesn't show you what's actually in third place. But there's actually a tie between Flamethrower and Thunderbolt with 8 kills apiece in third place. So lots of very common moves, common coverage options as well, getting kills and bulky waters, because as we'll see in the next slide, there's still a bulky water on the top. We're up to 79 unique move kills now. I believe we added 13 this week, and I can probably say what those are. Um, Giga Drain, V-Create, Stealth Rocks finally picked up its first kill. Drill Peck got a kill. Stomping Tantrum, Seismic Toss, Sub-Zero Slammer, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Leaf Blade, and Flame Charge. I'm really shocked that Stealth Rocks, Shadow Ball, and Giga Drain all took it this long to get a kill. Some of these are a little bit obscure, obviously, right? Like Stomping Tantrum is pretty obscure, Drill Peck is pretty obscure, those kind of things, right? But that's sort of what's on tap here. Now we are up to 6 unique Z-move kills, with Sub-Zero Slammer getting a kill this week, and Bloom Doom actually picked up another kill, so Bloom Doom is leading the way in Z-move kills with 3. Every other Z-move that's been used only has 1, so there's Bloom Doom, Supersonic Sky Strike, Hollow Pummeling, Shattered Psyche, Hydro Vortex, and Sub-Zero Slammer. Bloom Doom obviously has 3, the rest have 1. Bloom Doom actually sitting in 29th place overall in terms of kills. So that goes to show how many other moves sort of have been used a lot more often. Now, in terms of kill leaders this week, Melodic still stands at the top, despite it not coming to the match this week with 9 kills on my team, Melodic. Pretty crazy to me that Melodic is still up at the top. It's got 9 kills and an 8 differential. It's only died 1 time. I believe it died against Matt in week 1. That was its only death. Kyurem-Black now sits in second place with 7 kills and 2 deaths, giving it a +5 differential. It picked up 2 kills against me, I think, this week, which put it in that spot. And then Mega Altaria has been consistently racking up the kills in these last few weeks, and now sits in third place with 6 kills and a +5 differential. There's no tie this week for the top 3, but there's a tie in 4th place between Zapdos, Tapu Bulu, Conkeldurr, Cresselia, and Hawlucha, all with a +4 differential. So now we'll sort of get into the matches here, and the first part of our tie is Jed in the Adelaide Overheat, sitting at 2-2 +0, is tied actually with someone in his division, Matt in the Green Bay Glycopods, which we'll get into in a second. Jed had an unfortunate lost this week. He ended up losing to Corona 1-0 in a very, very close match. It looked like he was in a very commanding position, and then as it turned out, Volcanion with Flame Charge was a huge threat to his team that he couldn't deal with behind Reflect, and Bloom Doom Zatu caught his Rotom Wash off guard, and then a freeze from Aerodactyl on his Nidoking late in the game really mattered. As we found out that the Aerodactyl, that the Ditto was scarfed, and an Ice Beam would have taken it out. So that freeze was pretty monumental. Rock Slide missed turn 1 really didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but the freeze at the end seemed to seal the deal for Jed. Next up is Austin, who's now 4-0 +7, second in the Sinnoh Conference. I actually can't remember who he played. Oh, he played Dom. He played Dom in the Cleveland Cavaliers this week. Which was another really close match that Dom looked to have a huge matchup advantage in, and Austin has been playing out of his mind this season and came through and picked up the W over over Dom and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Big win for Austin. Keeps him tied for first in his division, tied for the record in his division, as Ben and I played each other. So one of us was guaranteed to lose, and Austin was guaranteed second place, because one of the other both me or Ben would have had a higher differential than him anyways. So Austin was guaranteed second place in the conference, and he did if he won, and that's what ended up happening. Dom ended up losing to Austin and falls to second in the Homeland Conference after his dominance of the conference starts to falter now, but he is still in a fairly commanding lead in his division. Actually, his division is really close, and it ends up being slightly closer than my own division, the Sanjem division now, just because of Dom's loss. So all three teams in the Old Ale division are 2-2, and Dom is the only one with any differential points. So Dom's at +6, and Jed and Matt are both at +0. Dom being at +6 is the commanding lead-ish. Again, that's a very close division. I was anticipating that that was going to be the closest division coming into things, and it's looking like if the season keeps going how it is, then that division is all going to make playoffs anyways. Same with the Sanjem division. It's kind of looking like the Old Ale division and the Sanjem division are both going to entirely make playoffs. And it's sort of like the bottom two teams in Little Root and the bottom two teams in Twin Leaf aren't really doing a whole lot with their season so far. So next up is Nacho, who took an unfortunate loss this week. Who did he play this week? I can't remember who that was against. Against Cade. He took a 1-0 loss against Cade. He ended up paralyzing Cade's Vaporeon and then getting full pairs 3 times, which brought the differential back quite a ways. By all means, he definitely should have lost that game a lot earlier, but again, hacks is hacks. It happens in the game, and that you sort of just deal with it. It was a very close, very close match in the end and depending on a roll, Halucha might have died, and the game might have gone differently. Who knows? Next up is Matt and the Green Bay Glycepods picking up a pretty big win over the UNC Wingles and Jay. Not big in terms of differential, but big in terms that he needed to win that game, essentially. Making the debut of Registeel and Thunderous Incarnate, pretty big pickups for him, and I liked the way that Matt played this game. He seemed very controlled and back to his own style. So we'll sort of see that Matt is probably going to pick up the pace and start pushing for some more wins this season. I'm really excited to see how he does. He actually takes on Ben in week 5 in the Tampa Bay Weasels, and that is going to be a match, let me tell you. That is going to be a match. Next up is Cade and the Krabby Kadabbies picking up a win over Nacho, 1-0 win, moving himself into first place in the division with that win. Um, Still not sitting great on differential, but again, wins over divisional opponents and wins over conference opponents really matter in the grand scheme of how the seeding works, because division winners automatically make playoffs, and then the next best records will gain the final 2 playoff spots. So at the moment, Cade is sitting in a playoff position because he's leading the division. Winning the division for him, I think, is going to be very important if the Sanjem division keeps up the pressure that they've been putting on the league, because otherwise the Twin Leaf division is only going to get their division winner into the playoffs, so that's going to be pretty clutch. Next up's me. I took an unfortunately quite a large loss to Ben, actually. I was really hoping to pull the differential back from that game, and honestly, um, down to the end there was still hope for me to win the game. I think I misplayed a little bit, and I definitely could have won that game by all means, but I ended up not winning. So Ben took over the first place in the division, and that game actually swung who would be in first and who would be in third in the division. So I actually dropped 2 places in the conference, unfortunately, because of that. Looking to bounce back with my next divisional opponent playing Austin this coming week. So those are really 2 big games because I don't have any conference wins, and both of them have multiple conference wins. In fact, Ben has 3 conference wins already, which is insane. He's basically set for the tiebreaker. Although he does still have to play Nacho and Austin, I believe he's played Magic already. I'm pretty sure he played in week 1. Next up is Daniel, actually picking up his first win of the season, which is really cool. Stoked for Daniel, pulls himself out of last place in the conference. His drops seemed to work out very well. He seemed very comfortable with Volcanion and very comfortable with Xatu. I'm very happy that he managed to make those drops work. Jolteon maybe a little less comfortable than he would want to be, but that'll come as the season progresses. He obviously doesn't have any transactions left. Well, hang on. Does he have any? I'm pretty sure he doesn't have any transactions left. Oh, he does. He's got 1 transaction left. So he can definitely play around with that and sort of figure out what's going on with the rest of his team if he wants to make a final drop or anything like that. So we'll sort of see how that goes for him. Magic, unfortunately, takes an FF loss this week. We'll sort of talk about Magic's situation here. So, This is a temporary FF loss, so his record may not look like this all the time. Magic, unfortunately, is without Wi-Fi at the moment, and doesn't look like he'll be getting it back anytime soon. He can't really play on his data because it uses up too much for him to build and play all of his matches for every league that he's in. So for now, Magic is going to be getting FF losses, not including his week 4 match. He gets 3 more, so week 5, week 6, week 7 potentially, and then we'll look into either replacing him or him coming back and opting into playing those matches. The replacement has the opportunity to opt into playing those matches as well. So these matches may be made up or they may stand as FF losses for the team. We'll see as that goes on. But, anyways, he takes a 3-0 temporary FF loss for now. Still sitting in last in the conference. I don't know how much it would have really mattered. Even if he was 1-3, his differential is so much worse than Nacho's that he'd still be sitting in last in the conference. That makes no difference. Um, Ben picked up a huge 4-0 win over me. He played really well. His team's super solid. Lots of offense with a little bit of bulk. And unfortunately, that bulk makes it really hard to break through to kill his offense. Even if you have a really big offensive threat, the bulky options that he has cover them really well. I'm really excited for his matchup against Matt. I think that's going to be a battle of the powerhouses this coming week. And actually, Cade's match against Phil is going to be a battle of the powerhouses as well. So we'll sort of see how that goes. Next up is Jay, losing out to Matt again, so he's now still sitting with no wins. Hopefully Jay will pick up a win. I did make some transactions that I talk about in the, or he made one transaction that I talk about in the transactions video. So check that out because that also went up today, I believe. And yeah, so Jay picking up Heatran. I think Heatran's going to make his team a little bit better. I don't think Torn was doing a whole lot for his team, although I don't believe that he's got um, the ground weakness covered for Heatran yet, so he'll probably look into getting another transaction done for that, or he'll be running Air Balloon pretty much every single week. And last but not least is Phil picking up the 3-0 temporary FF win over Magic. Now sits in first place in the Hoenn Conference, with being the only person in the Hoenn Conference to have 3 wins. Going up against Cade this week is going to be pretty clutch for him. Out of conference matchups are huge. I believe he plays another one. No, he doesn't. He plays Dom in week 6, which is going to be a huge matchup. So, yeah, that's going to be it from me for this weekly recap, and I will catch you guys next week.